Welcome to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken. Shep will talk with some of the smartest thinkers in business to help make you more successful in your professional and personal life. This is Amazing Business Radio with Shep Hyken.
Hello, everybody. It's Shep Hyken here. We're back with another episode of Amazing Business Radio. A great interview today. We're going to be talking with Howard Moodycliffe, the CEO of a software program, Timetoreply. And Timetoreply is exactly what it implies. It's how quickly you respond to your customers. And it is a business software solution that empowers employees to deliver fast, efficient, and consistent responses through email. Now, even if the channels that you communicate with your customers aren't necessarily email, or maybe it's email and 5 other channels, you're going to want to tune into this episode because what Howard talks about related to email really covers any channel that you communicate with your customers. All right, a couple of quick announcements. Here they are. If you have an amazing story you'd like to share, or you have a question that you'd like me to answer, be sure to reach out to me on any social media channel. I am pretty much everywhere. And if it is a question, use the hashtag AskShep. I'll answer the questions you send me either in that show, on that channel, or maybe in this show, or maybe on my TV show, which is Be Amazing or Go Home, which can be found on Apple TV, Roku, episodes on Amazon Prime, C-Suite, and even on YouTube. Just go to beamazing.tv. That's beamazing.tv and tune in there and you'll catch some episodes. All right, let's get into our interview. Howard, welcome to the show.
Hey, Shep. Great to be here. Been looking forward to this.
And I can tell by the accent, you're not from Arkansas or Texas here in the U.S. Where are you from?
True. So I'm from the UK. I live in South Africa. I live down in Cape Town.
That is so beautiful there.
Yeah. If you like your wine and your surfing, it's heaven.
Yeah, and I've only been there once, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I can't remember what the name of the large cliff or rock that kind of juts out into the ocean.
Oh, could be a few. I don't know. Cape Point. It could have been Hang Clip. There's quite a few of those.
Well, anyway, regardless, it's beautiful. Well, hey, your company, Timetoreply, it's very intriguing. I've had Jay Baer on the show a couple of times, and we've talked about speed and how important it is. He actually wrote a great little book, a very speedy read called Time to what is it? Time to
Win.
Time to Win. He did a whole bunch of research, and basically his whole thesis is the faster a company can respond to a customer, can either sales or a customer support issue, the better off they are, the credibility is there, the trust levels rise, and that may be one of the most important strategies a company can deliver on the client experience and the customer experience. So tell me about Timetoreply, because you're mentioned in the book.
Yeah, that's right. So we built our whole business around that premise that speed's really important. It's important across the whole business, but it's really, really important when you're looking to win clients, and it's equally, maybe even more important when you've won those clients. Speed's actually one of the highest impact levers you can actually pull to increase customer satisfaction. So we knew that. There's been a lot of research around it for a while, and then Jay has done some really fantastic research more recently, and he just mentioned it, the Time to Win. And we looked at businesses, and we decided to really zone in on email. So email, as many other channels that sort of keep popping up, email is still primarily the strongest B2B channel. So we've built 2 products. Our software is all about helping any customer-facing team or sales team deliver fast and efficient and more importantly, consistent service and response behavior over email. So that's what we do. We do it for enterprises. We do it for mid-market. We've got some SMB customers. And globally, any business that really sort of understands how important speed is, that's our market.
Well, and if they don't understand how important speed is, they better, because the competition is surely starting to understand. Customers, if they wanted to wait 3 days to get a response, they would have waited 3 days to make the request.
Yeah, I
So
mean that's exactly it. It's you value the prospect or your customer's time. They sort of follow on with their loyalty or their business to your business, and it's really just a respect thing. I mean, everybody values their own time. Why shouldn't businesses think about it in the same way? And so we really empower those teams to make sure that they are valuing prospects and customers' time, and they're doing it consistently. You don't want to just do it on the first instance. That's probably that's as bad as being slow potentially. It's got to be consistent. You got to set the expectation.
right. I know that sometimes we get a call, or actually we get an email from a client saying we're interested in Shep speaking. That's me. I'm talking about myself in the third person. We're interested in Shep speaking at an event. And Cindy will immediately call the client and the client will say, oh my gosh, I don't know if I've hit the send button yet. And the phone's ringing. And the standard response we have is, hey, Shep's the customer experience guy. So of course he's going to respond quickly. But we make it real clear. We can't promise we're going to respond within seconds of every inquiry. But and I always tell my clients, if we haven't responded to you within one business day, you need to call 911 because something's wrong for an emergency call. Something you said, you use email. And I think in business, B2B companies, email is very common. But when it comes to B2C, email is a little less common. But at the same time, I'm going to bet that the ideas that you have for responding via email cross over into any other channel that you would want to use. The concepts, conceptually, you want fast and efficient and consistent responses across any channel the customer comes in on.
Yeah, I mean that's 100% right. We've chosen to go very deep on email. It's the channel that we know the best.
Right.
But yeah, if you're a multi-channel business, you better be consistent across all channels. And consumers have differing expectations of what a quick response is by channel. There's no one size fits all, and there's also no one size fits all industry either.
Right.
And whichever channel you choose, you kind of want to be right for your industry and your sector. And that sort of right speed of response is, as Jay would say in his book as well, it's you want to be just quicker than your prospect or your customer expects you to be.
Yep. It's what you want them to say is they're always so quick to respond. The word always followed by that statement means that you are nailing it. And even if all you do is simply meet the expectation, as long as you do it consistently and don't ever let them down and fall outside of that expectation, I think you're in a pretty safe spot. Something I talk about in my speeches is consistency. And oftentimes it's the consistency in the experience. And I do go into something I refer to as channel consistency, because if I call you and I'm put on hold for 10 minutes, I'm upset. But if I email you and you email me back within 2 hours, I'm elated. So there is a different time element for each of the channels that you're in. And once you understand, to your point, what the customer's expectations are for response time in each of those channels, and it's going to vary a little bit from company to company and business to business, industry to industry. But once you understand that, I think you have the great opportunity to meet, if not exceed, those expectations, even by the slightest bit, in creating that amazing experience. Let's shift gears to a comment that you made in some of the information that I've read prior to the interview, and that is put the customer first. So many people that I talk about claim they put the customer at the core of everything they do. And I think that's what you were referring to, but I would love your take on this.
Yeah, it is one of those statements that's thrown around pretty liberally. When I talk about it, and when we talk about it at Timetoreply, putting our customers first, and given what we do in the name of our company, we've got to be on the ball. Like, we cannot drop the ball.
Yeah, you've kind of made a promise that's implied with the company name,
That's exactly it. We've made a promise with our name and with what we do. So for us, it's about really understanding what experience you want the customer to have. What perception of your business do you want them to have? It might be speed of response. It might be completeness of information. There could be a range of things. But it's important to understand what that experience is that you want them to have, and marrying that up with what we know consumers or businesses expect. And then you've got to design your organization to deliver that. We've actually got a customer who they use our product to measure response time all the way back between, they don't stop at first line, second line, third line support. They're measuring speed of response all the way back to where an inquiry may need to go to a subject matter expert. And they've actually used the data that they pulled out of our product to help them design the organization to ensure that handover after handoff after handoff, there's consistency in the speed is actually at the center of everything that gets done right the way through to subject matter experts. So that's kind of what I mean about you've got to design the organization to deliver the experience you want. And that experience should have the customer at the center of it.
Right. And obviously response time to any communication is essential in designing that experience. And it's very easy once you make a statement like, and this is what I wrote down, your exact words were, what experience do you want your customers to have? And that's a question. And then my response is, well, let's define it and let's then create it. And the goal would be, if we decide to do anything different in the process that we've created, we would always ask ourselves, how is this going to impact the customer experience? And when you keep that question in mind, by the way, I'm not suggesting that every time you do this, and this is a real important point, I'd love to get your take on this. If you do decide to make a change and you ask yourself that question, how will the customer feel about this change? If it's negative, does that mean you shouldn't do it? And my feeling is, well, it depends. I mean, if you have to raise prices, that's never an exciting thing to tell a customer. But if you explain the reason why behind it, and it's legitimate, and you can't operate and stay in business unless you do, I think that's a pretty good, compelling reason to do so. But you've got to take all of these things into consideration.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I mean, you're always trying to make every impact or everything you do a positive one, but there are things, like you say, price increases. There could be a discontinuation of something or a service. It's around the communication and then how you design around that to make it, if it's a negative, have the minimal negative impact on an experience.
Right. Well, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to talk about being proactive, not just responding, but actually reaching out. I want to talk about personalizing the experience and much more. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Amazing Business Radio. Don't go away. We're coming right back. One of my favorite sayings is that customer service isn't a department. It's a philosophy. And it's a philosophy that must be embraced by everyone in the organization all the time, and that's 24/7. So if customer service is important to you, and I know it is, then you will love our virtual training, the ultimate on-demand customer service and experience training program that you can access anytime, anywhere. Now, the course content applies to everyone, regardless of position and responsibility, from senior executives to the most recently hired and everyone in between. You'll discover tips, ideas, and strategies that won't cost your company a fortune, but will produce what I call moments of magic, those positive experiences, and it will happen at every level of your organization. So go to Customer Service VT. That's V as in virtual, T as in training. That's customerservicevt.com. It's time to get customer focused.
You're listening to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken.
We're back on Amazing Business Radio talking with Howard Moodycliffe, the CEO of Timetoreply. We've been talking about putting the customer first, consistency in responses, the cadence of responses. I want to shift gears a little bit. Rather than response, let's talk about proactivity, reaching out before the customer calls us. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it's a tricky one, and I think certain businesses lend themselves more to a proactive approach than others. But the better you know your customer, the better you know their needs, their wants, the results they're looking for. And if you're in a business like ours where they're using software, you can pull a lot of data, you can see how things are going, and you can sometimes you can proactively reach out with something they may not have thought about, but you can see in the data that it's a question that may be coming. So that's really what we mean about being proactive, is just looking at the live data coming through our product to be able to anticipate what a customer might be wanting to ask or know more about. And then, the responsive piece, I think we've spoken about it, but, it is definitely one of the more important or more high impact levers as a business you can pull to increase customer satisfaction. And we've got, some of our customers are tying the speed of response to customer satisfaction through to NPS. And if they're a SaaS business like ours and they've got repeat revenue, that NPS has a very high correlation to revenue retention. So it is important, and it is a measurable lever, but it's something it's just expected these days. People are time poor.
Right. I also think it creates trust with your customer.
It absolutely does.
They have confidence that every time they're going to get a response back. Here's a great stat that comes from our research that we do annually, our ACA report, Achieving Customer Amazement, sponsored by Five9. And if you create a great experience and the response time, how quickly you get back to somebody, ties into that great experience, 82% of the customers that we surveyed in 2023 say that service experience increases their trust in a company when they buy something from them. So keep in mind, trust equates to confidence. Confidence equates to the potential customer loyalty that you might have. And I love that. So you're doing great. As far as proactive goes, the example I'm going to share with you, what I think is a great example, one of my clients is a large cable and internet provider. And one of the things they attempt to do is get every form of communication that a customer might have with you. And when I say that, every mode or channel. So I would give you as a customer my cell phone number, my email address, my Twitter, now X account, whatever we're supposed to call it now, Facebook, et cetera, LinkedIn. And then when there's an outage in my area, they're going to blast an announcement to all of my communication channels, assuming I'll probably be able to get one of them. And and I really feel good about that. And then once I respond, they know what communication channel I am on, and they will then follow up with me on a regular cadence to let me know, okay, you're still down, but we're working on it. And that way I don't have to call them and aggravate their customer support people with the same question that probably thousands of other people are doing. Well, my cable is down, my internet is down. When will it be up? Okay.
Yeah, well, I think that's fantastic, because you're already a little bit annoyed your cable's down. You're going to be a lot more annoyed if you're having to wait in a queue
just to find out that everybody else's cable is down.
Well. Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Well, let's talk about personalizing the experience, because that's important to you as well. And I'd love to get your take and what you think a good personalized experience would be. We know that personalization in our survey shows it's in the top eight things that customers want from the companies they do business with.
Yeah. So, again, I can talk about it from, software as a service perspective. We start off, our customer success teams, they get to know all of our customers. It doesn't matter how long it takes, how many conversations they have. They always know something that they've got to talk about with each of our key contacts. But then again, being in a software business, you can actually look at engagement data and you can see results, and you can start learning quite a lot about what's going on in our own customers' environment without talking to them. And then you make sure every engagement that you then have with them off the back of that data and what you know about them is personal.
So there's, in my mind, two kinds of personalization. One is rapport building. Where are you from? Oh, you're from South Africa. I've been to South Africa once. I remember that large cliff going on. That's rapport building personalization. The other is data-based personalization. In other words, how you're using us. I walk into a hotel, I check in, they go, oh, you stayed here before. Welcome back. And you can tell in your business with software, you can see how your client, your customer is using software, and you can see what they're, we love doing this. We sell online, on-demand customer service training. so that you
Okay.
could log on and watch Shep on video. There I am talking about myself, third person again. Watch me on video and, get lessons that way. And when somebody buys from us, we, over the next 30 days, watch how often they get on. If they don't get on the platform, we call them and say, hey, we noticed you haven't gotten on. They go, how do you know that? We know everything. Well, not really everything, but when it comes to that, we know. And they really feel like, oh my gosh, and you're following up with me. What a great personal touch. I think that's what you're referring to here.
That's exactly right. I mean, we've got various facets to our software. Part of it's the management dashboard, and we can see, hey, you guys had a really busy week last week, or something dropped off a little bit here. And we can have those conversations. And then we've got a module that just sits in individual team members' windows, feeds them live data, and helps them do their job better just through showing live data, but also like sifting through their inbox and prioritizing the emails they should attend to next. And we can see what's going on in there as well. And you can say, the optimizer hasn't been used by that team for a day or so. Is there something wrong? Or, that team's sort of doing a hell of a lot better than this team. Is there something that needs to be done on that side of your business to, I guess, bring them up to speed? There's just a lot of ways you can open another connection or a conversation with your customer by knowing how they software.
It sounds like your customers, and I think anybody needs to take advantage of technology. And if they're missing the opportunity to use tools like yours, the dashboards you've created, and by the way, many different software companies provide dashboards regardless of what you're using them for. So, I know that you find that the technology and the data that you can give them actually empowers the teams to create a better experience, with time to reply. So any further thoughts on that before we jump over to my final topic with you?
Yeah, definitely. So, for quite a while, we were a management dashboard. So we provided live information to team leaders, team managers, etc. They could take that information and then coach their teams and do what they needed to do. But we thought that there was a much better way to use software. It's not just reporting and dashboards, but is empowering the people actually doing the job. So you've got your customer-facing team members or your sales team members. They're in there every day doing their job in their inbox. If you're just a dashboard, they only hear about how they've done retrospectively. Whereas if you're providing them live data, you're actually empowering them to be the best they can be all the time, simply through just letting them know how they're performing in the moment.
Yeah, and then you can flip back to what we just talked about related to the personalized experience or the proactive experience where you then reach out to somebody based on what you're seeing about that particular customer.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And, just simply knowing how you're doing in the moment and how you're doing compared to the team, there's motivation there. And then there's also we dig through inboxes and help them prioritize what they need to do next based on SLAs or reply time goals. So it's like we like to think of it as a Fitbit for team members that just helps
for team members
as good as they can do. Yeah, that's how we like to think of it.
Yeah, and that actually slides right into the final topic I want to cover, which is the empowerment of employees, because it sounds like this type of technology does empower your employees strike that. It informs your employees. It is up to the leader to say you're empowered to act on what you've been informed with. And so once they see on the dashboard how they're doing, it can be motivating. It could be a wake-up call. Hey, I need to be doing something else. But regardless, we've got to give our employees the ability to respond to that, make decisions, appropriate decisions, to optimize the experience for both themselves and the customer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think, the data and the insights that you can give them and you can feed them in real time is great. But then, like you're saying, is you've got to then empower them to make the right decisions off the back of that data or the adjustments. Because, knowing how you're doing is one thing. You can pick it up a bit. But then if there are decisions that you need to take off the back of what you're being shown, you need to be empowered to do that. Yeah.
I mean, if all you do is you give the information to your employees and say, okay, here's information. They go, well, what am I supposed to do with it?
Yes.
Tell them what they're supposed to do. Teach them what they're supposed to do. Give them examples of what to do with that information. I would, on a regular basis share stories of how employees are using that dashboard or whatever dashboard is up there or whatever information they're giving to create that optimal experience for a customer. And when you do that, other employees are going to say, okay, so that's what we're supposed to do. And you create these best case study scenarios, which everybody can learn from.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I think it's too easy just to give management information. It's easy, it's slightly less easier to give end user information, but then the real gold is when you empower them to do or show them what they can do with that information.
Yep. Well, Howard, we're just about out of time. And what I'd like to do is ask my final question. I've warned you that this will be coming. I refer to it as the one thing question. And it is that one last thing, that nugget of information, that one idea that maybe you haven't shared with us yet or something you want to emphasize. What's that going to be today?
It's another well-used one, but I think keep things simple. You don't have to overcomplicate processes. You don't have to get overly complex platforms. You got to understand what the thing is that you want your team to be great at, what the thing is that's going to make your customers or your prospects' perception of your business the best it possibly can be, and then find a process and find some tech that enables your teams to just maximize that. Start there.
Yep.
Don't go, you don't have to be all things to everyone, and often things get diluted when you try that. Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Now, simple does not always mean easy, and sometimes what's happening behind the scenes can be pretty complicated. Hence, it takes an entire software program to make things easy. And designing that might be a little complicated, but to the people using it, your employees, and the people receiving the experience on the other side, who are your customers, I think simple is a great way to go. Howard, thanks so much for being on the show. You've been a great guest, insightful information. Much appreciate you.
Excellent, Shep. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody, that wraps it up. Another episode of Amazing Business Radio. We will be back next week with another interview. And until that time, this is Shep Hyken reminding you to always be amazing.